explain your position. Don't just say no. Don't be that binary.
Absolutely.
But at least explain your position and your viewpoint. I promise you, you will gain respect, especially from management and people that look for those kind of things. Management don't want yes men and no men, or black and white. They want to understand why you have a specific point of view or a specific feeling around something. So even if it's a no, don't make it a hard no necessarily, but explain the position.
Exactly. Hey everyone, welcome to the RLT podcast, where we share some real life tools, tips and tricks to help you not only discover but also reach your ultimate goals. What is up, boys and girls? Welcome back to a brand new Monday and a brand new episode of the Real Life Tips podcast. This is episode number 62. I'm your host, Mono.
You're joined by Leon as usual, and it's not Monday when we are taking this. You had me super confused there, but I get what you're saying. You're planning ahead. I love that. I would have said happy Thursday or something like that. Welcome back, everyone. Grab a coffee, get comfortable. Welcome back to the Real Life Tips podcast. We're here to share another great episode with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great episode coming your way. And I think today's topic is really interesting purely because there's so many of us dealing with this issue.
Yeah.
This topic really is close to me because I'm a yes man. Like, I try and please every single person that comes to me, and they try and ask me for help, or they try and get me to do things for them. And I absolutely cannot say no. So today we're going to cover that in great depth.
Yeah, we are. And I don't know how to start this. I might even come across awkward on this whole episode because I think one of the hardest things in the world for me to do is to say no, almost to anyone. Like even people I properly dislike, like Marnu, I can't say no to anyone. And I don't know what it is, and I've done a bit of research. We'll bring that out throughout the length of this episode, just to kind of understand a little bit better about what it is. And I clearly know the disadvantages of always saying yes. We've even spoken about some of it in previous episodes about being taken advantage of and so on and so forth if you keep saying yes to people. But still, there is nothing in life I hate more than saying no to anyone. I mean, I can think of so many examples in the last probably week even where I didn't want to do something and I just said yes anyways. And I don't know, where do we go from that? Do we then become the guy that's always up for everything and people are going to like me more because I just always say yes to everything and I'm always in on everything? Or do you take a stance and start saying no and you risk, I feel like I would risk losing people and being the grumpy old fart that never wants to do anything.
That's always the concern. I think there are two parts of that equation, is because on the one hand, saying yes to more things is great because you're opening yourself up to more experiences and you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. On the other end of it, saying no, not always saying no, but knowing when to say no to certain things in your life, it takes away from the distractions in your life and it grants you things like more focus. It gives you direction and it gives you the ability to apply grit in a certain area of your life. And that's, I think, where the beauty lays within saying, not just saying no, but the art of knowing when to say no and how to say no. And I think that's the most crucial thing that we want to address here today. Understanding that if you're sitting with a lack of focus or a lack of direction, you don't really know where you're headed, what you're supposed to be doing, or you're sort of going into one direction, but you keep getting distracted with other things. Learning when to say no and how to say no is the crucial part. And that's what I'm really, really excited about covering here today.
Yeah, it's interesting. So to start this off, I'm actually going to begin with a bit of a basis around some of the psychology with regards to this.
It is important because, but it's a good point to start at because we want to, I want to understand, why is it so difficult? Right? Why can't I say no? Is that a personality style? Is it a personality type? Are more people like that? And I'm unaware of it.
I think many people suffer with this problem. I think a lot of people, maybe more so than others, and they get taken advantage of, especially people that are way too good-hearted. But anyways, we'll get into that in a bit. So there's a lady called Susan Newman. She's a PhD psychologist. She wrote a book called The Book of No. But she makes the point of saying that as young children and teens, we've actually had no, or the word no, drummed out of us with our parents and authoritative figures, always telling us to say yes, and you have to do things and you can't say no. Like it's not an option to ever say no when it's coming from an authoritarian figure, which is super interesting because I've never thought of it like that, right? That's the big point in her book. She also talks about how people will often believe that saying yes will make others like them more and make them appear a little bit more helpful and willing and things like that. That I can get. That is not like a revelation to me. She talks about women in particular, which is quite interesting. She says that saying no is more challenging for women because of societal pressures and things like that. They've kind of come out of an era, I would feel like it's a way back, but I do understand where this notion could be coming from, where women back in the good old days, or no, I'll not say something negative in good old days in the same sentence, but back in the days didn't have many rights, they didn't have many say, so that they were yes ma'ams, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's very, very interesting, especially the part about we were taught by our parents to always say yes. She also then goes on to talk about how the same thing happens to us when we're students, where you've got teachers and other authoritarians in front of us, and then you go into work and you've got a boss. So you always need to kind of say yes in your whole life. Now, when you kind of transfer that into social life, you've now unlearned to say no. And that to me is quite profound because it feels like I have never ever learned ever to say no. I can't think of one example in my whole life where I've ever been taught a reason to say no to anything, because why would anyone ever ask me something that's not nice? Maybe I'm just too, I don't know, accepting of society and things, and I assume that people will never ask me something that I would want to say no to, and it will always be a fair question. I don't know, but it's super interesting, don't you think?
It makes a lot of sense because I have been put in a lot of situations where people ask you a favor, they ask you for something and you say yes. And I think it almost snowballs to the point where once you've said yes to them, the second time they come around, you've said yes again. And then those people start taking advantage without you even realizing it in the first. Aspect. Or maybe you realize it, right? But you can't, you're in this motion of already saying yes to them. So you can't, it's going to make you look bad.
Can't go backwards on it. Yeah.
Exactly, because then all of a sudden, why are you saying no? What changed? The last time you said yes, the last time you had no problem with it, why are you saying no? And that just puts us in a very uncomfortable and tight spot, right? So it basically all comes down to our own ego and how we want to be perceived by others around us. And I think that plays a key role. So you're definitely hitting the nail on the head there for me, because in my own personal life, I don't like saying no to people because my entire personality is founded on integrity. If I deviate from how I used to handle those type of situations in the past, then to me that feels like I'm giving up a part of my integrity. And that's a key thing. So what do I keep doing? I keep saying yes every single time. And it makes it extremely difficult for you to then all of a sudden flip the script and say, you know what, this time, no. And how do we achieve that? I think is the biggest question.
Oh, that's goosebump level. Like that's crazy. I mean, I completely and utterly feel the same. There's another little bit of research that I want to bring in, and unfortunately, they didn't quote the actual psychologist, but they say psychologists. So I'm assuming it's a well-known thesis amongst all psychologists that this is fact, right? And I like this because I'll tell you now how I can relate to this, but they talk about a harshness bias, all right? And that's in inverted commas if you can't see my hands. It's psychologists, they call it the harshness bias, and that's where we often believe that people will judge us more negatively than they actually do when we say no. But the reality is actually that a lot of people, or most people, won't think less of you when you say no. In fact, people will tend to respect you more when you know how to set healthy limits.
Wow. And that is beautiful. Yeah.
like, I hope I got that out right. I hope you post-edited
No, you
so
did.
it came
No.
out correctly. But that makes it sound a lot better by saying, I'm not saying no, I'm expressing my healthy limits to you. And I've got a person in my life, he doesn't listen to the podcast, so but I'll call him my father-in-law for the lack of a better explanation. He's very much like this. He knows how to say no. And the funny thing is, he says no to the right things, and I respect him immensely for it. I've seen him say no in circumstances where it was so cringe. And I was like, oh, how did you get around to saying no? I know that was a sucky request, and I would have definitely buckled and say yes if I was in the same circumstance, but I do respect you so utterly for politely declining and saying no to that person. He's 100% the epitome of what they talk about, harshness bias, and being someone that respectfully says no. And by doing that, even the person that received the no on the other end didn't take it badly. They kind of felt like, wow, okay, I hit a nerve, or I hit a part of his limit.
Yeah.
And he's respectful and mindful of his limits, and I definitely will respect his limits then too.
Yeah.
That to me makes a lot more sense than just being a plus or a minus, right?
It does. I think that changes the whole game, right? Because in our minds, in my mind at least, I've always seen it as such a negative thing. And that's why I don't use the word no. And I think a lot of parents don't like to use the word no on their kids because, but there is a balance that one needs to strike. You can't say yes to everything. You can't say no to everything. I think the most important thing is perspective. So how do we look at this problem? And that's what you clarified for me, finally, because now all of a sudden, if I think back to a story that my dad actually told me last night when I was on the phone with him, is that he walked past this kid. The kid was, homeless, jobless, everything, begging for money. And he absolutely got enraged when his girlfriend gave the kid some money. That moment, I thought to myself, geez, Dad, can't you spare a 20 for the kid? He's homeless and jobless. And then he went on to actually explain his rational thought around it. And so he went back the very next day. The kid was still sitting there, still begging and still asking for money. And he asked the kid, are you on drugs? Have you done drugs? Do you have a job? And the kid said no to all those questions. And so he said, come, hop on the back of the truck. Let's go find you a job. And he actually drove to places to go and ask, do you guys need someone to come and just sand down the cars or something like that? Yeah. And they didn't have any jobs available. So my dad took him in and he said, you know what? I need someone actually, to help me with my construction business, some basic day-to-day tasks. If you're up for it, you got to pitch up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're going to leave at 5 o'clock. I'll pay you a full day's salary and everything. But the point is you're going to learn, and I'm not just going to hand you my money because that's my dad's limit. Right? He says he's not handing out the money. His limit is I'm willing to give you the money as long as you're willing to meet me in the middle and come work for it, right? And so that kid, it's amazing. So that kid has now been working for him for the last 3 weeks. He's been showing up at 5:30 or 5:15 every morning. So he's there first. He leaves last, and he's actually willing to put in the effort. But isn't that the beauty of it, right? When you look at that metaphorically, what you're saying is that when you establish that boundary, when you know your own limits, people respect you for that. That kid respects my dad to the point now where he pitches up. He doesn't just slack off or anything. He works for his money and he's getting something in return.
He got way more than a 20 out of it.
And the same thing goes for business as well, Leon. You taught me this when you were still my manager as well, is that your time is valuable. And if you kept on saying yes to every single request that I had, I wouldn't perceive your time as valuable. And so that goes for managers or being in a leadership role or whatever the case is, but it also goes for being in an employee role, just being a normal employee within the business. Understanding what is valuable and what you need to invest your time in and how to stay focused, how to apply grit to the situation is to fend off all of the distractions. Correct. Effectively.
You touch on an important one there. So we talked a lot about personal, social life and so on and saying no. But in the workplace, it's equally important. I remember as a young employee coming up, and you were very much the same when you worked under me years back. When you're young, you're very hungry and you say yes to everything. So are you okay? Yes. Do you want more work? Yes. Can you help me with this? Yes. Are you okay? Yes. Meantime, that yes for are you okay actually isn't a yes anymore. You aren't okay. You are digging a hole. And you can only take on so much within your 8-hour tenure at work, maybe even working after hours to try and make all the scales balance, etc. And this maybe this was the one area in my life where I was able to strategically say no, or politely say no, is in the workplace, where if my managers, and again, I was a yes man for very long before I learned that is not the road to quick promotion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I was in a situation once where I was completely inundated with work. We lost an employee in the office. They resigned, and all of the work was asked. I was given the option: can I take on his role until we find a replacement for the position?
Yeah.
And I said no. And I didn't just say no. I said, let me just explain to you what my day currently looks like. This is what I do. This is the amount of time I spend. I've got 15 minutes in the middle of the day to quickly eat a sandwich in front of my computer screen, still looking at emails, making sure that no balls drop off the plate. When I get home at night, I put my kids in bed, and late at night, I continue working. That's already what my schedule looks like. So politely, I don't mean to say that you're stuck in a pickle now and there's no one that can pick up this work, but I don't think if you give it to me, I'll be able to do either of the jobs effectively. And they respected me for it. And guess what? I did get promoted later on in that position because I had that boundary, that limit, and I expressed to them in a very nice way, not just saying no, because no, again, just doesn't roll off the tongue. I did explain to them my position and told them that both jobs' quality will suffer if I take on mine plus the extra work. And that made sense to them. That made business sense to them. They could actually make a decision on that. So it's extremely important, not just from friends and family, but in the work environment, to say no when it's appropriate. When something doesn't sit well with you, when you don't agree with choices being made in the organization. Explain your position. Don't just say no. Don't be that binary.
Absolutely.
But at least explain your position and your viewpoint. I promise you, you will gain respect, especially from management and people that look for those kind of things. Management don't want yes men and no men, or black and white. They want to understand why you have a specific point of view or a specific feeling around something. So even if it's a no, don't make it a hard no necessarily, but explain the position that you have, and that's going to definitely earn the respect of the others, as well as your peers looking at you, standing up and saying no to something that they would have probably just said yes to.
That makes so much sense, really. And just saying no is the most difficult part of it, right? But never have I ever looked at the situation to say that, what do I want? What can I do? What are my limits? Number one. Number two, when somebody comes up to me, instead of me just uttering the word no and finding it extremely difficult, and maybe I might offend them, explaining yourself, explaining your situation, giving them some sort of reasoning, but also hearing them out. I think that is a key part as well, is hearing out, why is it that you're struggling with this? Why is it that you need my help with this? Why is it that you need money, right? And all of those, really understanding them, making them feel heard before you go ahead and approach them and say, no, I'm not going to be able to help you in this situation. But again, hearing what their situation is, explaining to them what your situation is, and meeting each other in the middle and saying, I hope you understand, but this is how I feel. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling pressured. I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And I understand where you're coming from. I have helped you up to this point. I cannot help you any further, or I cannot give any more time because my time is valuable and that can be better spent somewhere else. It doesn't mean that I don't like you. It's nothing personal. It doesn't mean that I always say no. If I have the capacity, I'll come to me again and check in, but this is where I draw the line. I think that is a crucial part, and you've enlightened me, man. You said that you don't really have a lot on this topic because you don't really understand how to say no. But I feel like subconsciously we've uncovered quite a bit from both of our sides. So I absolutely love that, right? And it's been absolutely insightful. And I think it is time for us to move into the most crucial part of the show, as we always do, to understand how can we apply this to our lives. So this is where we switch over to the real life tips. For today. Yeah, you're getting quite creative. I love it. Cool. Leon, so we have unpacked quite a bit in this episode. I think I've definitely learned so much, and there's so much that I want to apply. So this is the crucial part. This is where I want you to tell me, how can we go and apply saying no and practicing this art of saying no, knowing when to say no, knowing when to say yes. How can we apply that to our lives?
Yeah, I've got two, really. The first one has to do with, like you said, the art of saying no. I don't see myself very soon being able to just utter the words no, like N-O. So as you explained, and as we've explained before, and maybe this then doesn't really count as a tip because we've gone over this already, but explain your position. Always try and not be as binary as no and yes, and explain where you are coming from, and if the decision impacts on the other person in a positive or negative, may make that known as well. The second tip that I will give is more from a parenting perspective. I've never really thought of this whole research around kids being trained to be yes men, right? And I think the easy way that we can fix that as parents is to give our kids circumstances sometimes to which they have to say no.
Good. Yeah.
And kind of build no into their daily, let's say, reasoning or decision making.
Yeah, not making them brats, but just know
exactly
where the limits are. Yeah.
Yeah, so build scenarios into the day where no is actually the correct answer and you wanted a no from them, if you know what I mean. So kind of structure questions for the day and scenarios during the day where you want them to say no. And maybe that could be a way to kind of curb this effect of being yes men or being trained as yes men our entire lives. I don't know. This literally just came to me after I read this article, but I think it could be helpful to put your kids in positions of not always just feeling that they are being submissive to authority, and give them areas where you're comfortable for them. If they say no to this request, I'll be okay with it, but I want them to explain to me why and teach them how to say no.
I love
that. That would be it from my side, I think.
That's really, really cool, because then you're starting to foster this type of mentality.
Try and build a foundation where apparently there isn't one.
Exactly, from a very, very young age. Really, really cool. From my side, I think, seeing as that we're dealing with people here, it's communication effectively, right? We're communicating to those around us how we feel and what it is that we want, and trying to understand what they want. I would say go back and listen to the personality styles or personality types episode that we did. That plays a key role as well. I think if you combine these two worlds together, of saying, I know what's important to me, I just need to communicate it effectively. I also need to take into consideration, who am I communicating with, and how receptive will they be to certain types of language, right? And how should we approach that? And personality styles cover that immensely. So if you're interested, go back and go listen to that episode. I can't tell you which episode number it is, but if you scroll through our first 50 episodes, that's season 1, it's going to be in there. It's going to be a little bit longer than our typical episodes in season 2. So it's going to be at least an hour long, but it's super, super important. And I think it's so worth it. So that would be tip number 1. Take into consideration personality styles. Do a little bit of research. You don't have to spend a whole day. Just go listen to that episode or go read an article about it. And already you'll start thinking about, what type of personality styles am I dealing with in my day-to-day life? And that's going to make it easier for you to communicate. I think on tip number 2 is really do some introspection. Decide what is important to you in your personal life, in your business life or career life. What is the most important to you right now? Maybe not for the rest of your life, but just right now. What is important to you? And if you want to apply focus to that and you want to start fending off all of the distractions, I would say go and practice what is important to you, right? So tip number 1, take into consideration the personality styles or personality types. Number 2, decide what is important to you and decide what you want to focus on. And number 3, probably the most important one, try and practice. Just very similar to what you just mentioned with your kids, right? But practice that yourself as well. Practice to say no, because it is something that's uncomfortable. It doesn't come naturally. We've just determined that. So you need to practice that muscle of saying no in the little things. I'm saying that if you have a situation, things that aren't really crucial life, make or break decisions, things like friends inviting you last minute and you really don't want to go, you already have plans to study, then say no. Practice in those little moments in life, because once you start building up this tolerance against the fear of saying no, you're going to break through that, and it's just going to come naturally to you as well. So those are my 3 tips.
Nice.
Yep, super important, I think. And I think it has been a great episode, Leon. We've talked about how to stay focused, how to fend off distractions, how to fend off people taking advantage of you, how to fend off negative time wasters, things that just really don't contribute anything to your life. And the most important underlying notion of that is to practice the art of saying no. So that's something for you to go out and go and practice this week, right? How good is it that we release our episodes on a Monday? I'm
going to practice on my wife. If I don't pitch up for next week's episode, you know why.
Yo, dude. Yeah. No, that's you're stepping into dangerous territory there. So don't do that. All right. With that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you're thinking of someone in your life who cannot say no, someone who's being taken advantage of, go ahead and share this episode with them.
Won't hurt.
You know that they'd love to hear this, just to understand where it's coming from, to understand how to work with it, how to deal with it, and how to improve on it. And with that, we're signing off for this week. It's been an absolute pleasure, Leon. I can't wait to see you on the very next episode. For you guys out in the audience as well, this is me signing off. Mono.
You were joined by Leon as usual. Thanks so much for your time. We're happy to have you guys here as usual, and we'll see you on the next episode next week, same time, same place. Cheers.
What's up, guys and girls? If you've derived some great value from our show thus far, please take a second to rate and review us on the platform that you're tuned in on. This will really help us to grow the show and reach more and more people, to spread the positivity and change more and more lives. So it will literally just take you a second to rate and review us, and who knows, perhaps you could directly be responsible for changing someone's life today. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Until then, cheers.